In the class on making a sketchbook out of folding a grocery bag or any one sheet of paper, I did mention that the pages can be kind of floppy, like that. I said that I would stitch some of these to reinforce it, and this is the way that I'm going to go about doing that. The first thing I did was unfold the bag to this point again. Now this is something that you could do before you fold it all up together if you know you want to do it. And I took some silk and I used double-sided tape to adhere the silk on both sides to the paper bag. And the reason that I use silk is that it's very giving. Okay, so I can have it bend on the outside and bend on the inside. Then I will go back and fold my bag as I did before. Okay. That goes over, up, right. So now what I have is I have a nice edge on my book, and I have an inside strip where that will keep the threads. I'm going to stitch along here. I'll stitch this in, and this in, and this in, and this in. And if I were to do it without this reinforcement, it would just, the thread would just pull through the paper. By attaching the ribbon on it, the ribbon will keep the threads from pulling through the bag. I have one page, 2 pages, that takes care of that half, 3 pages, 4 pages to stitch onto the binding. I'm inventing this as I go. Because I only want 1 line here, not 2, I'm going to alternate back and forth between the pages so that each of the 4 pages are stitched to the cover in 2 places. So in order to do that, I'm going to have 8 stitches spread out between the 4 pages. I'll go back to my graph. And I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. So if I have there, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So I've got 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitch, 4 stitch, 5 stitch, 6 stitch, 7 stitch, 8 stitch. I do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll try that. This is going to be my number 1. And then my other outside one will be number 2. This can be my number 4. And this will be my number 3. Now I'll take my thread Don't know how long I'll need this. I'm sure that that's plenty long enough. For this, I can use a straight needle. I'll put a hole through this and then go back through it. What I should have done is start it there. And you'll see why in a second. What I may do is tie that. I might not mind a bit of a knot. I think I want to mark my holes here so that I really get them in line. I'm just jabbing the needle through at each point, and I should be able to see that from the other side. And I can see them. Perfect. It's not the easiest thing to work with. And I will tie this off. Do a square knot. Okay. And here, I'll loop through this stitch and then go out to where my second hole will be. All the way through. Loop through, and I guess the curved needle would have been a good idea. I'm going to switch to a curved needle. Sometimes the wax builds up in the eye of the needle and it's hard to thread it. All right, so now I can loop up through this. And I'm looping up through the top stitch. I've just done first stitch in the second one. It's an awful lot of trouble for a paper bag sketchbook, but I think that I just like solving problems. Oops, see, I just ripped right through that. I didn't really want to do that. Just going to have to let that be a little bit loose so that it doesn't tear anymore. And I think what I'll do is loop around that one more time. I might be able to hold the thread down like that. I'll go back through here. And I'll make sure not to pull this tightly because this is only one layer of the paper. I think it's a good idea to loop around this with each one. I'll go back through this one. It's looking awfully nice on the outside. Decided to do a little knot there, similar to the Coptic binding knot. It's a good thing I marked the holes on the outside because they don't really line up with the inside pages. And it looks like I chose just about the right amount of string. One last stitch. And this one is going through 2 layers, by the way. It's even better. You can tell this is the first time I've done this. And these are a lot nicer than that. If I had tied a little knot in there, that would have been okay. That was where it slipped. And then so that I can tie it off and not have this string showing, well, I guess I can just clip it shorter. I'm going to double knot it at the bottom. Again, this is where the wax thread is great. Okay, so there it is. It's a really secure book now. And it has nice stitching on the end. Okay. And it doesn't fall apart in any way. Not bad. A little bit wonky, but it's fine. It's a paper bag.